Good afternoon. This is our afternoon synthesis, approaches to linking knowledge to action. And we have reports from the 3 breakout sessions. So I would like to invite the reporters from the 3 breakout sessions, Erika, Mary, and Barry, to come up. The general organization, first of all, I'm Cynthia Bell from Case Western Reserve. I'm the moderator, facilitator for this afternoon. The plan is for each group to report, maximum of 10 minutes for a report. This light will turn orange after 7 minutes, and it will turn red at 10, and then we will have 2 burning questions after each presentation. More than 2, please wait until all groups have reported, and then we'll open it up for general discussion. Our reporters first are Mary Woolley, here in the middle, reporting, whoops. Well, I have you on my list first. Let me rephrase that. Group A, Erika Shugart from the American Society for Microbiology will be reporting on the synthetic biology group. Mary Woolley is the president of Research America. It's a nonprofit, and their mission is to work to make research for health a higher national priority. And appropriately enough, she's reporting on vaccines. Group C, breast cancer screening, Barry Kramer will report, and he's the director of the Division of Cancer Prevention at the National Cancer Institute. So he's very interested and is often involved with the media and contact on stories for cancer prevention and screening. So let us, without further ado, get going. Erika, would you like to speak?
Sure. So I'll start us off. We had a really wonderful, lively discussion in the SynBio group. We were started with David's summary of what synthetic biology is, what is known about audiences' understanding through a lot of the work they're doing, and also what has been out there in the media on this topic. For the discussion, we worked, synthetic biology is one of these things that's maybe a little bit amorphous. The definition of it is maybe the edges are not so clear all the time. So we worked with the definition, and synthetic biology is the capacity to engineer biology. It's really applying engineering concepts to biology. So that kind of concept of modularization and parts, be able to exchange things. So that's kind of the idea of when you're in that synthetic biology zone. So one of the questions we grappled with was, should we engage on this issue? It is presented in the literature as one of these sort of more emerging issues, and I understand there was some discussion about whether we should be poking a sleeping tiger. I think somebody described it. Should we get into that? And the group really felt that it was important for us to engage now on it. The idea is there's a number of things converging that lead us to this. One is the regulatory aspects that are going on. Currently, we're under the rules that were made in the 1980s around recombinant biology, and it's really, do those rules still apply in the regulation? 2, there are a number of companies that are either in the process or about to bring product to market. So we're going to start seeing the applications of this in our homes, in our livelihood, and so that's another reason. And I understand from Dave that these companies are eager to have a dialogue and discussion around that. And then also, there's been a call from the scientific community. There's the editorial by Baltimore calling for scientists to have discussions. So, also from, afraid I don't remember her name, but the scientist that found CRISPR-Cas also calling for dialogue. So there's a number of sectors that are all saying that we need to have a discussion about this topic. So I think it really makes it ripe for engagement. And I should have said at the beginning that I'm going to do my best to summarize, but there was a wide range of opinions in the room, and we certainly didn't come to any kind of consensus, so this is not meant to be a consensus statement. We then had a discussion about the level of trust. And the idea is that in this area, there actually are probably varying levels of trust. So, and a lot of it comes down to the application. So, and a lot of it is dependent on history and the history that has come before in the recombinant biology area. So, for example, synthetic biology applications related to food, it was thought might have lower trust issues than something around medical applications. So, for example, an example was given of sort of growth, helping cows grow faster might be something that has and does have a higher kind of ick factor compared to synthetic flu vaccination, which was more accepted. So we really saw that difference between, I think somebody described it as things that come the closer it comes near your mouth, the more uncertain people are about their trust in it. And so we then got into discussion about kind of looking at a lot more around the action items and what can we do in the communication area around this topic. And one of it is what do we need to know? So the monitoring, the surveying, the focus groups have been done in an episodic manner. It's been really episodic monitoring, but this is a remarkably fast-moving field, and attitudes around it are moving quickly as well. So there is a call, the group really felt that having some sort of structured approach to understanding the public's understanding and attitudes towards this topic is really important. And so thinking about what that sort of a structured research model would look like that would let us follow the conversations that are going on and follow the attitudes and the understanding that is going on. And then a lot of the discussion centered around dialogues and setting expectation. There was a tension between kind of why we would want to have a dialogue with the public. There were ideas that we want to understand public's concerns, as this feeds into a lot of these discussions around regulation. Discussions about uncertainty. Even the scientists are uncertain about some of the things that might happen in the long term. And so having discussion with the public. But then there was more tension around whether these dialogues should be done to help people think about embracing the technology. That the scientists have to go into this engagement as really honest brokers. That we're figuring this out together, not that we're trying to sell you on this technology. And that the fact that there is this uncertainty really makes it ripe for those public discussions. It's really a good time to have those discussions. And what do we need for discussions? So this is some of the places where we believe that there are good actions. Because of the nature of this topic and because it is such a broad topic and really more of a process than an outcome, the idea was that future scenarios and case studies need to be developed so that the public can wrap their heads around this. Examples need to be provided of different applications of the technology so that people can understand it better. And those examples need to be carefully picked so that it helps people really understand the breadth of what can be done. Not sort of cherry pick them for one side, for one side or the other, for fear mongering or for optimism. That we need to think about a potential process with having a dialogue with the public. So because of these calls around the regulation that are ongoing, because of the calls that have come out of the scientific community, there is, I believe, some indication that either NAS or AAAS may convene on this topic. And the group really discussed the importance of making sure the public are part of those convenings, that it's not just the scientific community talking to the scientific community or government regulators or insurance people, but that the public are part of that as well. And some processes that were cited as potential models were the UK consultation model, and another mechanism that, again, reaches a different target audience, but are caucuses in Congress, and a caucus around synthetic biology was also sort of cited as a potential model. We then had a discussion about who would be the communicators from the scientific community. And I picked the word communicators quite well. We actually had originally had a discussion around messengers. And it was felt that that was too unidirectional about, again, that sort of sales pitch around synthetic biology, but really needs to be a group of people that are there to engage around the topic. So one is to ID a diverse group. Synthetic biology is a young field, so it happens to have a lot of young scientists in it, but it also happens to skew white and male. It's not as diverse as some other fields of science. So the thought was that could be an issue when we're going out to a wide range of publics and want to communicate to them, to think about how do we find people that will be able, to represent and make people feel comfortable as well. Once these folks are ID'd, of course, they need training, and again, around engagement, not around sort of selling. Potential sources of speakers that already are in existence might come out of the building biology program that's being done out of the Museum of Science, Boston. They have a program, I believe, much like the NISET or the Nanoscience Project, and there might be speakers that are being developed there. Also, the Sloan Young Leaders in Synthetic Biology was also cited as another potential source of communicators from the scientific community that could be given additional training and sort of be prepped to help have these dialogues with the public. But again, there was an emphasis in the group from various members that the scientists need to be prepped to talk about uncertainty, the unknown, and the balance and limitations of synthetic biology. That's important. We then talked a little bit about some of the potential audiences and some of the low-hanging fruit audiences that may already exist because of some of these existing programs are museum goers because of the Building Biology Project. And there was some hope that that program could be also translated into the university setting. Some people that have relationships to universities. These are, of course, already pretty much science-interested public audiences. Journalists were another audience that was felt would be a good initial audience to consider targeting. But it was, the group definitely felt that this was not sufficient, that we need to think about how to take the conversation more broadly, and that harkened back to things like the UK consultation model, where it really is going out and doing those kind of town halls with more diverse groups. There was also considerable discussion about reaching religious groups because of the concerns. There are sort of unique concerns in this science around the role of religion and that sort of idea of quote-unquote playing God that comes out of this that may cause discomfort with certain religious groups, and that there should really be a specific effort to reach through intermediaries in the religious community to have those discussions with those very groups. So in terms of specific action items, I think some of the ones that were in sort of the closer time frame, we're thinking about this structure for ongoing monitoring, so it's not episodic, but that we have consistent monitoring of how this conversation is going. And then taking some steps in designing this dialogue, which includes identifying some potential scientists to participate and giving them training, and developing these sort of future examples and case studies or scenarios that might be considered to help people understand. Thank you.
Perfect timing. Thank you. It sounds like a lively and productive discussion. Any questions that you really want to have answered now from Erika? No. Okay. You think about that as you digest lunch.